When the biggest winter storm in nearly 6 years took aim on southern Maryland, you knew who to turn to. JB Weather was with you before the storm to give you early warning of its potential.
I've been tracking the latest developments with our mid-season winter storm, and we could be looking at bands of more moderate to heavy snow centered here on southern Maryland
during the storm, with unparalleled live local coverage.
Forecaster John Bordash here with you, reporting live from Prince Frederick in Calvert County.
That is likely producing upwards of 2 to 4 inches of snow per hour.
But we are looking at high snow totals across the region. We have high impacts on our roadways, and we are looking at increasing power outage numbers across the region.
And after the storm, to cover its historic aftermath.
Right now, we are sitting at right around 41,000 customers without power. Here's a look at that updated threat timeline I produced for you right around noon today. We will have travel impacts tomorrow. That black ice will be around.
We are looking at a widespread black ice event this morning across the region.
Your hometown weather forecaster is there to guide you through any storm, working to keep you and your family safe. Get updates on air, online, and on social media for local coverage Southern Maryland can count on. From Southern Maryland's weather leader, this is a JB Weather Report.
All right, and good evening. I'm forecaster John Bordash here with you live. It's been a hot minute since A, we've done one of these, but B, since we've done one of these about snow. So I need to make sure our systems are all good to go, and first comment in, we can already hear me, which is awesome. Welcome in. I'm forecaster John Bordash with you to provide what has become a rather rarity, a snow talk discussion, because the threat of winter weather does exist within the next 7 days. And to get out ahead of this one, right, to control that narrative, I'm here with you live this evening to go ahead and go over the pattern we have coming up and to really kind of dive into the details on what might occur this weekend. To give you a nice rundown of what's going to be going on, we're going to initially start this with just like the graphical overview, the nice pretty stuff that should maybe last about 3 to 5 minutes, where we're just talking about what's going on in layman's terms. From that point, we might try to field some questions. Granted, I will be staying away from questions such as, what's going to happen in my backyard? Will my flight be delayed? Can I still do X, Y, and Z thing this weekend? Stay away from those. And then after that, we'll get into more of a model discussion. So maybe a little bit more technical for those that want to stick around that long. And special shout out to my younger sister, Cassidy. She will be helping me to moderate our chats. So if I don't get to your comment right away, she will. Trust me, before this, I gave her an entire rundown. She is by no means a weather person, but I did give her the information she needs to know. So if I don't get to your comment, hopefully she will, and she'll help to make sure everything is running smooth. So thank you, Cassidy. And Karen, Happy New Year. It's weird to think that we're already in 2024. So what I have up on the screen right now is the current 10-day forecast I published not too long ago. I think two things kind of stick out initially. First, you see storm threat smack dab in the middle for this weekend, which we will get into. But beforehand, we have a rather chilly week on tap. And actually, if I take you on over right now to William Richmond Inc. radar, to step away from this and head on over, gotta get used to this again, on over here. There we go. Radar this evening shows that we have some rain showers and even some snow flurries back out to the west as kind of a weak clipper system is moving through. It's funny, back like when JV weather initially started in those first few years, we saw a lot of these clipper systems, right? They're smaller systems that quickly move across from Canada, bring light moisture, and in the winter, these can drop quick like dustings to 2 inches worth of snow. We haven't really seen too many lately. The one thing about this clipper that's moving overhead, it's not going to produce accumulating snow for us. There might be some snow flurries out there, but I wouldn't expect much. But this is going to have to usher in that cold air that is going to be moving into the region throughout the rest of this week. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back on over to that 10-day forecast, and you can see chilly air. We're at or below average. Our average high right now is 46. So Wednesday we get to our average, but look at Friday, we're chilly. You might see Thursday and think 44 with a 25-degree low and showers. Why isn't that snow? We'll talk about that here in just a second. That's a system that's moving down to our south that at one point looked promising. But that cold air on Friday is going to help to set the stage for Saturday and Sunday. What I will say, the small bits of information I can give you, and there aren't too many, is that much of Saturday, it looks fine. We're really looking Saturday PM, and then honestly, anytime Sunday could be game. It kind of depends on the speed of the storm. You know, I can make a case for why this storm could be out here Sunday morning. Some of our models like to linger through the day into very early Monday morning. There's just so much to dive in there. What I will say, though, is I would expect Sunday to be weather impacted and Saturday in the afternoon and evening. Behind that, we see a stark warm-up going up into the mid to upper 50s Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we drop back down as we head into the middle of next week, which is all part of a large-scale pattern change. Take a look at the JB Winter Weather Index that I updated this morning. For the first time in nearly 2 years, we're at level 2 watching. So we're no longer really just talking gossip, which is where we were yesterday. But I do see a credible threat of winter weather as we move into this weekend that needs to be monitored. And this threat of winter weather could definitely bring impacts to the region. Now, we're not going to go above level 2 for the next few days, right? We're not able to say just yet if there's going to be delays or impacts, or if you need the milk, eggs, and bread, or if you need shovels and sleds, right? Right now, we're just watching and seeing what's going on. Details 7 days out are never cemented, and longtime followers know that that's very much my rule. You won't ever see a snowfall forecast from me more than 48 hours in advance of a system. Now, I want to go over, and this might be the most technical but layman's terms version of this, of what's going to be going on. So we have cold air settling in this weekend, and it's thanks to that high pressure. So this map assumes that you know geography, like where Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic generally are. To our north, we're going to see an area of high pressure setting up, and that's going to be up across parts of southern Canada and parts of New England. That high pressure sets up on Friday and helps to drive down that colder air. And that high pressure almost kind of acts like a block. So if you see where those yellows are, those yellows represent higher than normal pressures. All that means is that's where high pressure exists. That's where the cold air source is. You'd expect it to be blue, but it's yellow. The blues represent lower pressures, and lower pressures is really going to be indicative of storminess, right? So we have a low pressure system that's going to be developing at the same time across the Gulf Coast states. That system is going to try this weekend to move northward, and it will in some way move northward. The question is it more of a northwest or more of a northeasterly motion? The way this storm wants to track is up the Appalachian Mountains. And if it tracks up the Appalachian Mountains, and I want to see if I can't just get something put together here to help explain this. Let's maybe bring you on over here. Taco warning, we'll get rid of that, and we can also get rid of the radar for right now. What I want to do is kind of depict this for you more of a graphical sense. So let's turn some of these layers off here. So let's zoom us on out. We're going to have this area of high pressure. Are we still going to work? There we go. That's a bit more than what that is actually going to look like. Area high pressure up north, right? And it's driving down cold air. Our area of low pressure, our developing storm system Friday, is going to be down towards Texas. And the way that it wants to track is like this. Now, the issue here is that with that track, it goes right into the area of high pressure. But you can't just go into a high pressure like that. I like to equate this a lot to football. Think of this high pressure as your defensive line, right? Ideally, unless you're the Eagles, but ideally, this low pressure, our offensive player is not going to be able to run right into this high pressure and get anywhere. What's going to need to happen is that this, as it moves, it's going to need to relocate, ideally outside of the high pressure so it can go around it. The question is, how strong is this high pressure, and where exactly does it center itself? Because if we start to see this high pressure start to diminish itself and move quite easily. And let's say it ends up all the way up here and it's not really a factor, and the cold air is well to our north, that area of low pressure is going to be able to go like that into the south of our area of high pressure. But if the high pressure is stronger, it's going to force it to take more of a southeasterly track. That's what we have playing on. That high pressure, and let me bring it back on over to, let me bring it back on over here. We know for sure that that high pressure is going to be there. In some way, shape, or form, that high pressure will be there to provide cold air going into Friday. And we know pretty much for sure that we're going to see that area of low pressure develop along the Gulf Coast. The question is, where exactly is that track? Does it track along the mountains? Does it go right along the coast, or does it kind of go just off the coast? If it goes along the mountains, this is all like a 40-degree range for us. And snows are going to be kept well north and west up and towards Pittsburgh and Erie. If it's along the coast, we probably start to snow but then go to rain. And if it's just off the coast, it's primarily snow, maybe a little rain mixes in the middle. So that's what we're dealing with. Timing, I can't give you a sound answer on, right? It really depends on track. If that high pressure is being stubborn, snow is probably going to be delayed a little bit, right? Probably not until Sunday morning. But if the high pressure isn't as stubborn and it moves easily, then we get precip in here rather earlier on Saturday, maybe evening time. And those hours will make all the difference. So that's kind of what we have on tap. It's definitely one of our better winter storm potentials that we've seen in the Mid-Atlantic in just about 2 years. It was actually 2 years ago right now that we were tracking what we didn't know at the time would be a surprise 15-inch snowstorm. I don't know if you remember this. I got very little sleep that weekend, and I live reported from Prince Frederick. That was a last-minute storm that developed. Right, kind of a fluke that came out of nowhere. This system, we have plenty of lead time with, and I know people want answers, right? They want to know, is it going to snow? How much is it going to snow? Should I cancel my plans? You want to know that as soon as possible. But as many of the JB weather haters will tell you, we can barely forecast a day or two in advance. So expecting a sound forecast 5 to 6 days out isn't likely. This forecast will change and evolve as we learn more. What I will do is kind of walk you through what some of our model guidance is showing. But before we do that, I want to see if I can get to any questions after kind of going into all of that. Okay, I don't actually see too many in-depth questions, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm going to come on over here. Let's bring up, yeah, we can rock with this for right now. Okay, so this is just a general overview of the United States, right? Where is Maryland on here, right? Maryland, Southern Maryland sits right about there where that X is. So this is the entire country, so you see where we are. The way that this kind of works, and I'm used to seeing maps like this, and I know not everybody is. There's your key at the bottom. So greens would represent rain, blues would represent snow. I want to see, actually, is this going to give me a better... No, not really a better look. Oof. Okay, that's fine. I want to walk you through here what some of our model data is showing, right? So this would be the latest run of the America model. It just came in. And as you play this forward, this is getting here into Tuesday. What I want you to notice is that we have, and if we draw back on where Southern Maryland is, here is where we have an area of low pressure. You can see we have some green around it. This area of low pressure here on Tuesday was initially one that I was really watching because I want you to watch you to see here. So here's where this low pressure starts. We move this forward here a little bit. Low pressure then tracks right about here. So this is getting into Wednesday. And then into Thursday, this low pressure is here. It's a nice... decent track with a nice little low pressure system, and had this come north by about, what is that, 100, 150 miles, this would have been a southern sliding snow event for us. And at one point it maybe looked like that. We're going to struggle though with this initial system, right? That's going to give us rain showers on Wednesday into Thursday. What we're going to struggle with low pressure's out here, our storm system. The cold air wave is back here. That's where I drew that blue line. You would need these two to link up to really produce a snow event, a storm system. That's not going to happen. That's going to slide out to sea without having ever linked up. And then our attention is going to turn back here. Low pressure starts to develop. We're starting to get some high pressures to develop. High. This is all helping to funnel in cold air from the north. And this is where we said on Friday, this is why we're going to be so cold. That low pressure system, I want you to notice, and again, this is a little technical, my apologies. This little line right here represents the storm system initially, right? So initially, this wants to track like that, where a lot of storms have tracked this winter. But notice our little circle over there. It vanishes, and we start to get new circles down to the south, because this high to the north, it doesn't want to go anywhere. It's there pumping in cold air, and there's our developing low pressure system, and it's helping to bring up that moisture. There it is. Now, let's take a zoomed in look here. Let's get off of, let's go into our region. Let's move you over so I can see what I'm doing. Do I want to do the southeast? Let's do a mid-Atlantic view. Let's start with southeast. Okay, there's our low pressure system. We're getting into Saturday here. Whoa, lots happening. So our low pressure system will sit right here. This model is pegging this at Saturday at 7 p.m. Okay, we have cold air diving in from the north, helping to funnel in a lot of snow on the northern part of this. What I want you to notice, there's a little low pressure up here, that remnants from the northern piece of energy, it's gonna die and transfer its energy here to the coast, and that's what's going to take off. When does that transfer happen is a question, right? So snow to the north of the precip field where you have cold air. What we start to see now, if we go to that mid-Atlantic view, there goes that storm system. This solution has this storm system right along the coast. What that does is it pegs snow favored north and west of I-95 if this solution is true, right? And we can see that it's represented there by those purples. And then as this crosses over the mouth of the Chesapeake, I want to break this down because this looks more exciting than I think it actually is. This would have decent snow northwest of I-95. And even though it's shown as purple snow, it's actually more like your rain snow line is right to the east of I-95. And that would cause some mixing issues for us. But this model, I mean, it brings decent snow to much of the mid-Atlantic. And even though initially we would have rain snow line issues, right? So if we play this through, we would then at some point switch over to snow. How much snow? I'm not going to say. There's no point in me showing a snowfall total map, right? Because that's going to change. But this gives you a general idea. What are some other solutions? Let's play this out with an earlier version of this. This is the same model, the American model. Watch what happens here. So we have our area of low pressure down to the south. This is Saturday morning. It's moving north. And I want you to notice there's never been a northern piece of energy, right? That low pressure is well to the south, right off the North Carolina coast, as opposed to off at the mouth of the Chesapeake. With this southern suppressed storm track, look at this. It puts much of the heavier snow right here in a part of the lower mid-Atlantic, right into our region. So those are two very different solutions that I just played out here for you. One model wants to place, and let's just come over here. Right, one version of that model wants to place oh, that's not what I want. Is that what I want? No, that is what I want, I think. One version of that model wants to put some of the heaviest snow north and west of I-95. And climatologically or historically, these would be areas that would be favored. However, another run of that exact same model placed more of the heaviest snow down in this region. The question here really does come down to, are we talking a track that is along I-95, right? And that would favor areas out towards Pittsburgh and Erie. Are we seeing a track that's more like along the coast and would favor areas along I-95 and just west, not necessarily southern Maryland? Or is the storm track more out to sea, more to the south and east, in which that would favor our area? The difference here in track is what? About 150 miles. Oh, all the things, all of the things. Yeah, that's kind of the difference we're taking a look at. So that is what I'm going to be monitoring for. And I think this is just the start of what is likely going to be a rather active second half of the winter. I think winter really gets its act going here as we head into late January and into February. We were off to a slow start. December averaged about 4 to 5 degrees above average in terms of temperatures. Very wet. We saw well over 6 inches of rain. But that's generally, how we started things. That was kind of forecasted. But as we head into the second half of the winter and kind of where we stand right now, I think is where, and the changes we're seeing, this is going to be what allows us to start getting in on some decent snows. So, I know people want to freak out. Threat of snow, what's happening? And it'll be interesting to watch how this plays out. So, what I can tell you, stay away from the hype, right? It's kind of one of our mottos here. Stay away from the snow model outputs that you're going to see all over the place. What I will show you quickly, I'm going to bring it back on over here. If we go on over to the National Weather Service, here's how they're saying things might play out where they're currently putting up awareness and alerts. If this wants to ever load, bada boom, there we go. This is how the National Weather Service sees things. So can I zoom in here a little bit, make it a little easier to see? So they break their forecast area down into 3 zones, and each zone is shaded a color. Yellow is the lowest rating, right? Just an elevated threat. That orange would be an enhanced threat, level 2 out of 4. The red would represent a moderate threat, so level 3 out of 4. Then that purple would be like a high threat, up over at that level 4 out of 4. Where things are kind of laying right now, and this is what, day 6. So we are well out of here. Where we are the most likely to see snow no matter what happens, where it's going to be cold regardless, north and west of I-95, they're in that enhanced orange rating, right? If you take a look closely at what the chart shows, zoom us on in, like the Allegheny front, right? That higher up you go, the more confidence, the further to the right you head. The further to the right you head, the higher the impact. So right now, there is low confidence of a high impact event on out towards the Allegheny front. Same for the Piedmont and Shenandoah. Right now in our region, I-95 corridor, I kind of crossed that out, low confidence of a low impact event, right? The forecast, especially along I-95 into the south and east, so for southern Maryland, is very much dependent on track, right? We will only see snow and substantial snow with the southern track, where areas in the Piedmont, in the Shenandoah, and the mountains will see snow regardless. The question, not regardless, but they are the most likely to see snow regardless of track. The question is that track, right? So that is what that shows. And then take a look at one last product. Again, a little technical, not too technical though. You all have access to this. Here is how the storm. We head on over to WPC. Do it this way. Is that day 5, day 6? Here's how the Weather Prediction Center kind of sees things, which it is an actual name of something, the Weather Prediction Center, as this slowly loads. Zoom on into our region. Let's throw state boundaries and all the things. Here we go. Here's how the Weather Prediction Center kind of sees things. Bada bing, bada boom. Right now, if we draw a little bit more clearly those state boundary lines, there would be the Pennsylvania border, Maryland. Not my best drawing of the state, but it is what it is. You got Delaware, New Jersey, Virginia, West Virginia, bada boom. So there you go. There's a nice little look at things, and you can forget DC, not actually a part of Maryland. So right now, you have the highest threat chance, so between a 50 and a 70% chance of at least 2.5 liquid inches of winter weather, or essentially 2 inches of snow, kind of focused out to the west. I think it would be much more than 2 inches, but this 6 days out, 50% chance of some winter weather. That is what this out here represents. Along I-95, this is where we're talking 30 to 50% chance. And then kind of right through our region. Running out of colors here. That's going to be your 10 to 30% chance. This definitely highlights where I think we have the highest chance to see winter weather. And Tommy, thank you for the compliment on my map. You see why I tend to use more of my professionally created maps than my hand-drawn ones, because, I mean, you know, this is what someone needs to take a screenshot of this. Somebody needs to frame it and put it up in a picture frame. Well, send it to me and I'll put it up in a picture frame in my classroom. Oh, the power of maps. So, let's see. Anything else? Tanisha, I'm happy to see that this map helped you. I think what you're saying, though, what you mean is like the content of this map helped, not necessarily this format. But if I need to start doing lives and drawing maps in real time, we can do that too. One question I have seen a lot of is this going to be a blizzard? It's hard to say, or people will say a nor'easter. And typically, when people think nor'easter, they tend to think blizzard. I don't know if I would consider this a blizzard. This has had the potential to, like, bring snow, sure. Richard, don't get your hopes up, Southern Maryland. Trust me, people, the hopes are already up. I say the S word and bada bing. All right, so that's where we sit, and that's about all the information. Early winter, that area in blue is supposed to get 59. Probably, I don't know what that means. 59 to 100 inches. Oh, Tommy, no worries, no worries. Oh, all right, so that's where we sit. Again, we're 6 days out. It's Monday, and honestly, let me bring myself back on over here to end us out on a rather straightforward note. I will believe white stuff when I see it. Marla, that is your prerogative. Yeah, and honestly, a lot of people are doubters, and I'm going to be honest. This has the potential to be all rain for Southern Maryland and is snow up where I live here in Pennsylvania. Please note that right now we are watching to see what could happen. There is no guarantee of snow, let alone big snow. This is me getting out ahead of what would inevitably have been today. A lot of comments on JB Weather. Are we going to see snow? I'm seeing snow on my app. What does this mean, right? This is me giving you that early warning. We're probably going to stay in level 2 watching here for the next day, 2 days, maybe even 3 days. Details will not start to come more into focus until Wednesday or Thursday. And I will say that school starts back up for me on Wednesday, right? I'm a full-time teacher, so updates likely are not going to be as numerous as they probably would have been had this happened about 2 or 3 years ago when I was still a college student. So just keep that in mind. But we'll try to do, one of these Facebook Lives in the evening if needed, because I do enjoy doing this. All right. And Nancy, not all rain. I'm not forecasting one way or another, just the chance of either rain or snow or some mix of the both. All right. This has been fun. Stay tuned. And you can always head on over to JB Weather for the latest. And Cassidy, thank you for moderating the comments. I appreciate it. All right. Y'all have a good, nice and safe one. And keep it tuned right here to JB Weather for the latest information.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.